Action.
Okay, Miguel. You know I'm gonna immediately not act natural. Hey, my name is Rosa and I've been living in my car for the past 6 years. If you want to learn how, keep watching. This is a tour of my 2009 Honda Element EX 4-wheel drive. So as you can tell, I actually don't really have any exterior modifications on my car. I don't have a roof rack or anything. That's kind of because I'm really focused on keeping my car as stealthy as possible. I do a lot of camping in cities, in parking lots, things like that, and just not having anything on the outside of my car that shows that someone might be living in it is really important. That's also why I don't have stickers or anything like that. I only have 2 mods that I've actually done to my car in any way. I have a catalytic converter shield that just protects my cat from being stolen, because that did happen to me, and then I also have the rear hatch relief that was installed by Overland Antidote. Means that I can open my car from the inside, the back of my car. So I went with a pretty basic design. This is actually the second iteration of my car and how I designed it. This does fold up into a couch. I never do that. So it's always in bed mode because that's just easier, and I'm lazy. These are all the shelves where I keep my clothing. I have different boxes for shirts, pants, everything like that. And then this one is going to be my junk drawer, which is just random stuff that doesn't have a home anywhere else. I just started actually this literally yesterday. I went to another meetup and got a bunch of stickers, so that's where I'm putting them now, which is a new addition to my car, which is fun. So the name of my element is Elrond, after Elrond from Lord of the Rings, not any other Elronds. I got the chalkboard originally and I was going to write a bunch of different messages on it, and then I wrote this and I just decided that I can never change it because that's his theme. So underneath my bed, I have a lot more storage. In this compartment, I just have my propane, some pots, pans, all of my cooking gear. I cook everything on this Coleman 2-burner stove that I store right here. And then this is my pantry underneath that I store spices, food, everything like that. This is something I would change about my conversion because it is difficult to access the food that's like all the way in the back. So I have more storage underneath here. One of the reasons I went with a bed that flips out as opposed to like a slate bed that would pull out is so that I can have permanent fixed storage that I won't always have to move. This is my laundry bin, and then underneath back here I have just some cleaning supplies, car detailer, I keep my tire chains down here, soda stream, and just more backpacking gear and storage. My front seat kind of is just typically storing my backpack, my chair. I store my water bottles down here. I just have 1-gallon jugs that I refill at Walmarts and national parks and things like that, just because I found it a lot easier. And then I also just keep my books and things like that in this shelf, Lord of the Rings, Pride and Prejudice, all of the essentials that we need. On this side, this is where I just store shampoo, conditioner, everything I need to make myself look like a human being again. Nothing's really stored in the front down here, but on this side, underneath here is where I store my shoes and things like that. I have a simple bag cooler that I'll keep up here. However, typically when it is really, really warm outside, I will change that with my laundry and store it below my bed just to keep it a little colder so the sun doesn't hit it as much. I have an extra jacket, some flannels up here, towels. So I have pretty minimalistic gear when it comes to snow. I know a lot of people really recommend snow tires and things like that. The main reason I haven't gone with snow tires is because I'm constantly changing climates. So I might be in a snowstorm one day and then drive to the desert and be in 70 degrees the next day. And snow tires do not do well in warm weather, so you don't want to have that. I recommend for tires just going with basic all-season tires so that you don't have to worry about that. I definitely recommend tire chains over cables. Cables are just not going to give you as much traction. It's kind of the difference of like yak tracks on your shoes versus actual spikes on your shoes. So I do have a set of tire chains that I use. Haven't had to use them that much though. This car is pretty decent in snow. I'm pretty confident in driving in snow that's like 1.5 feet deep with the car that I have, but that's also because I have 4-wheel drive. So if you don't have 4-wheel drive, it might be a different story. So I kind of just have 2 basic things. I highly recommend these chains. They're self-tightening, so you don't need bungee cords or anything to install them. They're extremely easy to install, and they work really, really well. I've had just no issues with them. I love them. They're incredible. They're at Walmart. They're like $80. And then I also just have a basic snow brush. I think I also got it from Walmart just for clearing off the snow and everything like that. Also because I'm short, so it gets me so I can clear off the top of my roof, because it is really important in snow and things like that to fully defrost your car, clear off all your windshields, clear off the top of your roof. You don't want to be driving down the highway and have snow blowing off the back of your car, because that can cause whiteout conditions for someone behind you, and that could impact their ability to drive safely. So it's really important, if you are in a big snowstorm, clear off your car fully, just for everybody's sake, please. I don't have a power bank, I don't have any type of solar, I have no way to charge things from my car unless I'm using my cigarette lighter. But yeah, I just use, honestly, Starbucks to edit and to charge what I need to, or libraries. There's so many resources. I don't do any editing or work on my laptop in my car. I'm always going to like a cafe or something. I also don't have like a powered cooler. I just have a small bag cooler, and I use ice, and it's worked well enough for me. I think there are things I could definitely put in my car that would make my life easier, possibly, and more comfortable, but also I think sometimes I like to struggle. I do think my diet impacts the fact that I don't need a fridge. I think if I did eat meat, because I am vegetarian, I would probably have to be more concerned, but there's plenty of vegetables and canned goods and things that don't need refrigeration that much, so my cooler is really just mostly for milk and cheese, and that's about it. It also helps that I'm in cold climates a lot, so I sleep places that sometimes don't even get above freezing during the day, so I don't really have to worry about things going bad in my car. It just becomes its own fridge at that point.
What would you say that you like or enjoy the struggling?
I think it's like when you go for a hike and you're working really hard and exerting yourself, and then you come back to your car and the food, anything you eat just tastes better because you've worked for it. I think part of what I enjoy about car camping and this lifestyle is sometimes the struggle and the figuring things out and trying to get it all to work out, but then there's that moment where you find that perfect campsite when everything just feels right, and it kind of makes this lifestyle worth it for me. I feel like I traveled for so many years and I never really fit in with any specific community on the road. I didn't have a van, so I couldn't do van life. I had a good camera and I dabbled in photography, but I never really committed to it, so I never really felt like I had a community on the road until I found the Element community last year, and I went to the first meetup, and I realized that there were so many people out there who just loved this car as much as I did and were willing to pay the money and put in the work to keep them on the road, and just had something in common with people, and I felt like I finally fit in somewhere in this lifestyle, and it was a really cool moment. It took 6 years, but it's been really nice. Were you filming?
Yes.
I don't know how much the Element community means to me.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that, Rosa.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of are part of the community. You're kind of the welcome wagon, so you're a big part of that. Also, you might work on my car at some point.
I happily will work in your Element.
Thanks.
Rosa, I talk to other Element owners, and I always get like people asking me about you because they know we met a few times, so we record videos together. And one thing I get a lot from them is like, hey, that girl's brave, like she inspired me. But the one that I get the most is like, you inspire people.
I have been told that, and I don't think that was ever a goal of mine when I set out. It kind of makes me uncomfortable because I love this lifestyle and I don't want to do anything else, and it works really well for me, but it's not for everyone. So I think an important thing is remembering that the content you see on YouTube and everything is one day a week maybe out of my entire life, but I'm living in this car even when the camera's off, so there's a lot of behind the scenes that happens that just is never put out to the public. So I really appreciate that I inspire people. I think it's awesome. I never set out to it, but it is an entire lifestyle, and it is something that people want to try. I fully recommend trying, but I think do test runs and figure out if it's something that's really for you. Don't just see videos. Don't believe everything you see on the internet and that it's all sunshine and happiness and seeing pretty stuff all the time, because there's a whole life that happens even when I'm not filming. I have certain precautions, but at the same time, I think it's also just knowing your car, knowing its capabilities. I think that's a big thing with driving in snow and things like that, is it's just understanding your vehicle, understanding how it's going to move, how it slips, what's its braking radius when it's icy or wet or raining. Like, a lot of it's just understanding your vehicle. So I've taken my car places that someone else driving it probably wouldn't feel comfortable, just because I feel like I know him so well and I understand him. And obviously bad things can happen and at any time, anywhere, but I feel a lot safer and more comfortable out in nature than I'd ever feel in a city or anything like that. Just keeping up with constant oil changes, basic maintenance, having a mechanic, finding a mechanic that you really trust who's not gonna bullshit you and tell you something that you don't need to know, finding someone who really understands your vehicle and recommends exactly what you need done and getting it done, putting in the money. These are older vehicles. I mean, the newest Honda Element's 2011, so we're all getting to the point where we're gonna have to start putting more and more money into our cars to keep them running, and you just have to do that if you want a safe vehicle and if you want to keep this community alive, which I do. So I will pay thousands of dollars to keep this car running as opposed to getting a new car because I don't like any other cars.
What is the longest day hike that you did before and the coldest day that you experienced so far in all of your videos?
So the longest day hike I did was a little over 40 miles. It was to Blue Glacier in Washington. Typically a backpacking route, however, I was feeling lazy that day and I didn't want to have to carry a backpack, so I said, anything's a day hike if you believe in yourself enough. And I did, and that was fun. And then the coldest temperature I have slept in my vehicle was negative 33 degrees, actually this year. Is it this year? Yeah, this year, in Stanley, Idaho. And that was a lot of fun. It was very cold. The biggest issues with the cold weather, it's not really myself. I've got a really good sleeping bag. That's actually how I stay warm while winter camping and things like that. You need a good sleeping bag. But I did have to wake up every few hours to start my engine because when it is that cold, things will kind of solidify more and become almost like slushy and not work as well. So that's why a lot of people in really cold temperatures will have engine block heaters and things that they can plug in. I don't have that as an option, so instead I would wake up every few hours, turn on my car for about 20 minutes, let everything completely heat back up, turn it back off, go back to bed and repeat, just because while I knew I would stay warm enough, I wanted to make sure my car would start. That's the biggest danger in that weather. If you guys are interested in more car camping, backpacking, anything like that, I'm doing the PCT this year, so if you're interested in seeing kind of my journey through that, you can check out my channel. The handle is Life in My Element. My name's Rosa, and thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Miguel. You're the best. He's great.